better than ever in targeting an audience that listens to what you say. Learn more about this exciting radio broadcasting opportunity by calling WNZK Radio at 248-557-3500. Call now. We are WNZK, Dearborn Heights, Detroit, your ethnic superstation at 690 days, 680 nights.
وسهلا بكل الذين ينضموا للاستماع إلى راديو بلدي أول راديو عربي أمريكي ويعنى بقضايا العرب في المهجر. برامجنا في راديو بلدي كل يوم جمعة من 8 وحتى 9 صباحا مع ليلى الحسيني في بث حي ومباشر عبر WNZK راديو 690 AM. صباح الخير بلدي، صباح الخير لكل مستمعينا.
Welcome to Radio Baladi, the first Arab, Middle Eastern, and American simulcast radio show. Radio Baladi is broadcast every Friday morning on WNZK 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan with Layla Al-Husseini. Our call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues with your host, Layla Al-Husseini.
Good morning and welcome to Radio Baladi of U.S. Arab Radio, America's best ethnic radio station. My name is Khalil Hachem, editor of wdmv.com. We want to thank you, and I'm really honored and blessed to be with you today. Today is Friday, the 30th of September. The weather today is cool in the 50s, maybe go up to the 60s. It's rainy. We've gotten a lot of rain this week. We're going to continue to get more rain till tomorrow. There's a flood watch. You need to be very, very careful. Some of the underpasses are filled with water, and they are a safety hazard. If you're driving really fast and you hit some of that water, you could hydroplane. We don't want to do it. We don't want you to do that because it is dangerous. And yesterday and today, I've seen quite a bit of accidents. So be careful, be safe. And thank you so much for being with us, specifically if you are driving. Again, today is Friday, September 30th, and U.S. Arab Radio is celebrating its 11th year anniversary. And it has been 11 years since these wonderful programs started. Layla Al-Husni, the founder of U.S. Arab Radio, started this great station, and it has been on air since, producing wonderful, wonderful programs serving this community. And there'll be a celebration today. We'll be talking more about this later on in the program with our first guest. And then the second part of the program, we'll be talking with Dr. Suwan about her trip to the Hajj. She went to the Hajj this year and has been, according to her, I've taken the trip, and I can tell you quite a bit about it. I feel so privileged and honored that I had the chance to really make the trip and learn as much as possible. You know, the trip to the Hajj is about learning. In the news today, the election and the presidential election continues to boil between Republican candidate Donald Trump and Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State. As you will know, Donald Trump is a businessman, and there has been a lot of questions about his candidacy. However, he continues to win, which means he is saying or doing something that the electorate really is turned on to. Whether we agree with it or not, we need to respect the opinion of others and let the voters decide on November 8th. So if you have not registered to vote, don't forget to. And if you are registered to vote, make sure you vote on November 8th. This is how you make a difference. You don't make a difference by sitting at home and talking about it and give us your philosophy and argue with everybody and make our life hell. No, you make a difference by going to the poll and casting that ballot. It's very important. Our community hasn't done a really, really good job. We're getting better, but we haven't done a very good job excuse me, in when it comes to at the ballot box. We need to do better. For example, in the city of Dearborn, I would say 40 to 45% of the population, which is about 100,000, 45% of that are from a Middle Eastern origin. We should have a good number, about 20 to 25,000 registered voters. We have about 17. That's not a good number. We need to have everybody who is able to vote to register to vote. On election day, only 3,000 or 4,000 vote. That's not good, because if we don't vote, we're not there. I'm wondering if Adel has joined us or not.
He's not called in yet.
Okay, sounds good. He is Adel Mozip is one of our talented U.S. Arab Radio hosts. He hosts different programs. He's been with U.S. Arab Radio for some time, and we thank him for all his talent and all his work contributing to the success of U.S. Arab Radio. And Adel is running for school board, and we're going to be talking to him later about his run. Also, we're going to be talking to him about a little bit about the elections in general. As you well know, recently, Monday rather, Mr. Trump and Miss Hillary Clinton, and Miss Clinton, I should say, had their first debate. I'm not sure about you, but I was very disappointed with that debate. It was nothing but personal attacks and talking about different things, and how about the issues? And everybody says, I'm going to make America great, and I'm going to bring in jobs, and how are you going to do it? Tell me how you're going to do it. Tell me what really makes a difference. For someone to come and say, listen, Miss Clinton or this candidate, the Democratic candidate, has been around for some time. She's part of the system. I'm different. Well, how different are you? The message of Mr. Trump, or Mr. Trump's message rather, of against immigrants, against Muslims, against the handicapped, against women, really has not resonated well in this country, or in this community rather. It has resonated well with some people in this country to keep him in the race. But I was really kind of intrigued by the fact that Mr. Trump wanted to run, because I didn't know who Mr. Trump was. I thought he was a successful businessman who really could make a difference. And then he came on with all this temperament and talk about, ugly talk about minorities and ugly talk about, this group and that group, and then, encouraging people to be violent. And this is very unfortunate, At least one time, I would like to vote for the right person instead of voting for the least good, or the least, not the least good, but the least ugly guy. This guy is ugly, but the other one is uglier. Wouldn't that be nice if we could vote for one person? And then recently, the third party candidate, Gary Johnson. I mean, this guy doesn't know anything, and he looks like he's on drugs or something. When he was on CNN and he's been asked about different issues, and he's like, I mean, this guy looks way out there. Can't we get a normal person to run for office anymore? What is going on? Leadership is so essential in any society. If a ship doesn't have a captain, it'll never make it to shore. We don't have good leadership. We continue electing losers. Why are we doing that as a society? We need to really examine that. Why is it that good people do not want to run? And then, I'm part of the media, and then the media focusing more and more on frivolous things. The first thing they get a hold of Clinton or Trump, they want to ask him about what he said and what he said and what he said, instead of saying, what is your plan? How are you going to help this country? How are you going to really move this country forward? What are we going to do about jobs? We have a good segment of our population cannot get a job because they're not well trained. We have jobs that are being moved from here, manufacturing jobs that are being moved from here to other countries, to China, to Mexico, to other places. you know. And then they tell you, well, we're going to increase the minimum wage. What are you going to make it? $10 an hour? Let's do the math, okay? All of you pay bills. Let's do the math. If you make $10 an hour, how many hours a week are you going to work? 40? Let's say 50, okay? That's $500 a week or something like that. After you pay tax and everything, we're going to be left with 450, okay? Let's leave it 500. If you add it up, how much are you going to be making a year? Is it going to be enough? Is it going to be enough a month to really survive on that? If you have a family of 2 or 3, it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough to pay the mortgage. It's not going to be enough to really pay health care, insurance on your car, get in the car. And most likely you have 2 cars in the house. Excuse me. And then pay all of these expenses for clothing. For everything is so expensive out there. Everything has gone up many, many, many times except our pay, you know? And then they tell you all of these people who are making millions and billions of dollars and hoarding more and more money. You can't do that, you know. Any society, if it does not have a system in which it can share with the poor and help the poor, this society is really heading down to a conflict between the have and have not. Okay, yes, you can borrow. How long can you borrow? Borrow and borrow and borrow. Then what? You know, somebody can borrow a lot more than other people, but you cannot. If you go to buy a home today, which I work in real estate, as you well know, you can't find a decent home less than $100,000. How are you going to buy it? You know how many people come to me? They're well-meaning, hard-working people, and we can't get them qualified. We can't get them qualified to buy a home for $100,000. Why? Because they make minimum wage. The average person cannot buy a home. You know, when are we going to do that? When are we going to accept that? And then they tell you so-and-so is cheating on his taxes and her taxes, whatever. Well, you know, I don't believe anybody should cheat on anything. But if they want to save a couple bucks, if they're going to save really a couple bucks, some people find themselves having to do that, which is not a good thing because it's going to affect them down the road. If you don't declare all your income, it's going to limit your borrowing ability. You need to keep that in mind. If you want to borrow, if you're willing to live under the grid and don't have to borrow at all, then you're fine. You can do whatever you want. You can hoard all the money you want. But if you plan to buy a home, buy a car, buy whatever it is, and you need a credit, if you go to the bank, if you go to a mortgage company, you have to declare your income. If you don't declare your income in full and you show that you're really making what you're making, you're not going to be able to borrow. You're not going to be able to get a mortgage. So what are the programs out there, federal programs and state programs, that really help you to buy a home if you're poor? There are very few. And if there are few, they're very limited. And not only that is, you continue getting people in Washington and in Lansing who want to do away with these programs. More and more, we are fighting and waging a war on the poor, not on poverty, like it should be, on the poor, on individuals. And we want to take as much money from them as possible. You know, this is really not the way to go. This is how we end up in trouble as a society. It's really unfortunate that we have to deal with that, you know. And again, it's just we get all of these people, and some people end up doing what? They end up going to loan sharks. They end up getting loans from those who charge them 10 and 12% and 13%. And these people are just sucking their blood. They're just sucking their blood, you know. Unbelievable. And I look at them and I say, I wish there was a way where we can help these folks with buying a home, and they make only, you know, because you really cannot find a decent home less than 100,000. You may find something less than that, but it's going to need a lot of work. It's going to be in an area where it's not safe, and you know, in areas where not many people really want to live there. So if you want to live in a decent neighborhood, safe neighborhood, you're going to end up spending the $100,000. And again, to go back to the election, why are we talking about these things? We're going to be talking more about this. So stay tuned. We're going to take a short break. Thank you.
When you're looking for the best in optical care, Dr. Imad Nakash is your doctor to see. With years of experience and thousands of successful procedures performed, you can trust your eyes to Dr. Imad Nakash. See Dr. Imad Nakash and his professional staff for your eye care needs. There's 2 locations to serve you. In Hazel Park, call 248-336-3937. 248-336-3937. In Rochester Hills, call 248-299-3937. That's 248-299-3937.
A car accident can change your life in an instant. As a result of a car accident, you may become unemployed. As a result of a car accident, you may need a lot of medical treatment. People think that insurance companies are on their side. Why? Because they're giving them 1 or 2 benefits. Are they giving them all the benefits they deserve? How would one know unless you consult with an attorney? Call the law offices of Jumana Kiruz at 248-557-3645. 248-557-3645.
Are you going to start a restaurant or a grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Naji Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Naji Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Naji Abood, 734-744-9796.
Life for Relief and Development is a nonprofit charity that has been providing humanitarian aid and development to people and communities regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background for over 22 years. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life rushes to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Life also has development projects to provide medical relief, water purification, educational programs, relief for orphans, and much more. Your help and support can greatly improve these efforts. All donations are tax deductible. For more information, please visit our website at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493. That's lifeusa.org, 248-424-7493.
Welcome back and thank you for being with us. This is Khalil Hachem on Radio Baladi. I'm glad and delighted that you're with us today. And the number is 248-557-3300. And good morning, Adel.
Good morning, Khalil. Good morning, Khalil.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. We're really glad that you're with us today. We've been talking about elections in general and you're running for a seat. Before that, please, tell us and tell your listeners, about you, just a little bit about you.
Sure. My name is Adel Mozip. I'm a resident of Dearborn, a software developer for an IT company in downtown Detroit called Urban Science. I also own my own company which develops mobile apps and web applications. I am a graduate of the University of Michigan in Dearborn with a bachelor's in computer science and a master's in business, and it's an MBA from Wayne State University. I've been very invested in the Dearborn schools. Been working with them since 2009 to improve student achievement, work on mentoring programs, and other strategic planning as well for the last few years in the district, and working to make sure that we have quality education in the Dearborn schools. And when 2 seats were up for grabs in this November because of the retirement of 2 trustees, I decided to run and fill that seat to make sure that we have qualified people on the school board for Dearborn. Local elections are very important. They affect you on a daily basis. The decisions that the school board makes really ripples effect directly, because most of the property taxes that we do pay goes to the public schools, and it's very important that we have strong schools. And as you know, Khalil, when people look for homes in cities, the first thing they do look at, one of the major things that they look at, is how well the schools are doing. And if the schools are doing well, your property values will go up. And schools are not doing well.
Nothing protects your property value like schools. You know, a good school district is always one of the best elements of selling a home. So you're absolutely right there. What are some of the issues facing, you know, schools or the school district in Dearborn?
Sure. Well, in general, in the state of Michigan and even in the country, funding has been an issue for education, especially in Michigan. In the past years, cutting to education has been kind of the norm from Lansing, and that's something unfortunate, where we should be actually increasing funding to education, because it all goes back to, are we going to have people who are ready to take in jobs once they graduate from college or they graduate from a university? Because right now a high school diploma is not enough. So to de-invest from education is definitely the wrong way that we're hitting. So funding is one of the major things. Another issue that we're facing is student achievement. It's still a pressing issue. You're still pressured to do better and better every year and to improve every year. Gladly, Etzel Ford High School was released from the bottom 5% list, and it's no longer a priority school. That's, you know, the rating that's given by the state of Michigan, and that's because of all the resources that were put in at Etzel Ford, and I commend Mr. Caseball, the principal there, and the district for finally really looking at Etzel Ford and throwing resources there to make sure that they are risen from the 5 or the bottom 5% to the 75 percentile. So they did a great job, but I still disagree with how the state really ranks the schools. Gives them those labels.
Where does Dearborn district rank statewide?
I believe they rank on the 14th district, but they are still the third largest district in the state of Michigan. That's overall, and you have different schools ranking, you know, bottom and up, so bottom up the list. But Dearborn School's in a good place right now, but we should not take that for granted. We should be in a great place. You know, we should be in the top 5%.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that's something that
we come from countries where we value education, and there's a good number of people from Middle Eastern origin in this area, and we come from countries where we value education, and I would think that we can really help and improve that district to become one of the top 5.
I totally agree with you. And it starts with making sure that we have people who are very invested, who are very committed, who are very dedicated, and who also have the experience and have the know-how of how do we get more money into the district? How do we lobby Lansing to get more money? And it's very important that, you know, that this district is more important than others, because you do not only, or this board is more important, is that you do not only sit on the school board for the, you know, K-12, or now they call them P-12, but you also sit on the college for Henry Ford College trustee board. So it's very important that we have very qualified people on that board who really know how to make decisions based on fiscal responsibility, and at the same time making sure that we have effective programs running at the district.
Wonderful, wonderful. We have Jerry with us on the line, and I want to give him a chance to ask his question. We don't have a lot of time, Jerry. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Khalil.
Morning, Jerry. We don't have a lot of time.
Taking my call. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. I still want you to wait too long.
And
go ahead, please ask your question, please.
Mr. Adel Mozip, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Before anything, Mr. Khalil, Mr. Adel, I want to congratulate Ms. Layla Al-Husseini for the birthday of her radio station, 11 years on the air, the Arab Voice of America. Congratulations to her and to all of you as a family of her radio station. Mr. Adel Mozip, you are running and we are very proud of you on the city of Dearborn. We are from the suburb of Madison Heights. Doing that. What Mr. Adel Mozip think about the charter school? And could you explain, please, fast, briefly, what means charter school? And do you think it's good for us or the other way? Thank you. And good luck
you so
to
much.
Mr.
Appreciate
Adel
it, Jerry.
Mozip.
It's a very good question.
It's
a very good question.
Gary, and it's been an issue. Charter schools have been there for a while, and they're to just explain them briefly. They're school district that is run like a business. So a company would come and say, "I can do better than the public school, and I'm going to run the school. I'm going to take the state dollars and build a school or rent a building to make a school," and they try to complement whatever substitute the public education. And many schools were closed, public schools, and given to charter schools. Now, the issue with charter schools is that they run like a business, so they're not a public education. So the bottom line for charter schools is how much money do we make? So cutting corners, not giving teachers what they deserve became the norm of charter schools. There are some good charter schools out there, but you barely see them. We have seen them in many different cities in Michigan and even in other states.
What makes them good, these charter schools?
Well, I would say good management. They manage the money very well. But they provide other programs that the public schools, like the cultural programs, the cultural side of it, the international side of things. And that's something for the public schools to actually learn. Hey, you have competition right now, and you have to learn from these people what they do best and implement them in your schools so you can combine the luxury of public education and what it provides, and also the modern way that the charter schools try to bring in and compete with public schools. But I still believe that, charter schools, they're still run by companies, and their main bottom line is not, obviously, student success. Their bottom line is, are we making money? If we're making money, then we're good. Whether the students are doing good or not. Obviously, if the students are doing well, they're going to make more money. So it's tied both, and that's where they make their argument. But I still believe public option is still the solid option for our children. Students benefit a lot. They don't have when I mean the charter schools, they don't have the resources that public schools have. We have the speech specialist, we have the nurse, we have the different specialists for special education, different specialists, and that's sometimes the charter schools actually borrow resources from the public schools to cover those needs by their students. And sometimes
the reason they don't have them is because they don't want to pay for them. Is that correct?
Yeah. So they have to cut corners, obviously. So they don't provide many resources that the students need on a daily basis. Even
they have a board to run the school, though,
even the
don't
teachers. I'm sorry?
They have a board to run the school, which is the public officials. Yeah.
Right, but it's differently. They don't get elected by the people. They get appointed, and it's a process where many times it's very shady of how these people get appointed to these boards. Now, not to mention there are some great charter schools out there that are doing well, but I've seen myself in other places where the board has really a conflict of interest with the company that's running the schools. They're either far relatives or they know them very well. They're business friends, and they sometimes the students at the end of the day they get cheated on their education because you have a company that's running education and not a district that's focused on student success.
You know, I've noticed some charter schools in an area where there's a niche where public education doesn't really help. You know, whether it's in Latino area or Middle Eastern area or any other areas that provide, excuse me, dual education. Now, I think you're absolutely right. You know, if you get the right people motivated by doing the right thing, establishing these schools and selecting good people to serve on the board, then you really have a winner. But the chances are, in many cases, from what I've heard, is the fact that, you know, these are people just want to make money.
Yes, unfortunately.
Yeah. Stay with us, Adel. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. We're going to be talking about the celebration today. Thank you.
Sure, yeah.
استوديو زرياب بإدارة حسن حامد في ستورمي هايتس يحييكم ويقدم لكم خدماته بالصوت والصورة، تسجيل، تصوير، مونتاج، فيديو كليب، إعلانات، كوميرشالز، دوكيومنتري، أفلام وثائقية للترويج لبضائعكم ومحلاتكم وشركاتكم، برامج تلفزيونية وإذاعية. استوديو زرياب وبتقنية عالية بإدارة حسن حامد 313-945-8860 313-945-8860 أو 248-761-5787. استوديو زرياب، الصوت والصورة اختصاصنا.
عندي سؤال يا جدي شاغلني ومحيرني، شو يلي بيخلي زياد عكل لساني قلبي؟
زياد شركة قصتها عيلة عريقة بترويها، منتجات أصلية جودتها بتشهد إلها، إنه كبرت معنا كل بيوت تلاقيها، العيلة وجيراني وأهلي ما بدوروا إلا عليها، لأنه زياد يا جدي بتجيب المنتج بلدي بلدي، وبتخليني أتذكر أصالة وعراقة بلدي. أجود المنتجات الغذائية من عائلتنا إلى عائلتكم.
Welcome to the United States. Please proceed to the passport control.
ماذا يقول؟ إلى أين أذهب؟ ماذا علي أن أفعل؟ لو سمحت، هل تساعدني؟ ماذا قال هذا الرجل في الإعلان؟
ألا تعرف الإنجليزية؟
أعرف، ولكن أساسيات فقط.
عليك بتعلم اللغة.
ولكن أين؟ يوتيكا كوميونيتي سكول ESL بروجرام، أساتذة متخصصون، منهج متميز، يمكنك التسجيل طوال العام. لرسوم التسجيل ومواعيد الفصول الدراسية عليك الاتصال بالهاتف رقم
586-797-6960 586-797-6960.
تحدث اللغة وتعلم نمط الحياة مع يوتيكا كوميونيتي سكول ESL بروجرام. تعلم، تحدث وأكثر.
It's never too early to get your child on the right track. From their first words to first grade, Dreamy Children's Center in Troy works closely with parents to provide an experience that goes beyond early education. The highly qualified and experienced staff use a variety of programs that can help nurture important personality traits like responsibility, independence, problem solving, motivation, and respect. They also have educational programs ranging from preschooling for infants, toddlers, transitional toddlers, and pre-K to Montessori-approved programs and bilingual curriculums for young children. They're open from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., can provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner with snacks in between, and can also arrange for after-school pickup. Dreamy Children's Center in Troy is located at 37373 DeQuinder, just above 16 Mile Road, and can be found on Facebook at Dreamy Children's Center. Ask about the free preschool program. Call today, 248-680-9170, 248-680-9170.
Welcome back, and thank you for being with us. The number here is 248-557-3300. We're talking to Adel Mozip. He's running for Dearborn School Board. He's a Dearborn School Board candidate. How many, now we have 2 seats, Adel, and how many people are running for those 2 seats?
We actually have 3 seats, Khalil.
Oh, okay, 3 seats available.
The 2 seats, and they're 2 separate, and there are 2 separate races. So there's a race for the 6-year term, which has 2 seats, myself included, and you have 4 people running, and you can select up to 2. And then you have one 2-year term seat, and 2 people are running for that. My good friend Faiz Al-Kuhali is running for one of the seats. He's very dedicated as well, and I hope people trust in him and give him their vote as well. So,
Wonderful.
So you have a 6-year term that is 2 years, and a 2-year term that is a 1 seat.
Sounds good. And very quickly, why should people vote for you?
Well, people should vote for me because I am the only candidate who has a teaching experience. Actually, I taught program at Access for 3 years. It's called Digital Connectors. I also have a business background, and that's something that's going to substitute what's going to miss from Mr. Gaido, who's leaving the board right now. He's the only business person on the board. And that's what I'm going to bring to the board, the business relationships. How can we bring more business into the schools, more partnerships? I'm the only candidate who has been very invested in the school since day one after college, since 2009. I've held so many different programs at the district, and not only in Dearborn, even in Detroit and other cities. With the nonprofit organization that I started, I'm very passionate about the schools. I'm the only candidate who has a child in public schools at Gear Park, and I actually taken him right now in a few to Gear Park to start his day in first grade. And I'm very invested. I stayed here in Dearborn and didn't go anywhere. I bought a house in 2013 just to stay in Dearborn, and I love this city, and I want to give back to the residents and the community.
Please remember Adel on November 8th. And one more thing before I let you go is today is a celebration of US Arab Radio, 11th year in 11 years in service, providing great programs to the community. What are your thoughts about the celebration?
It's very wonderful, and this 11 years of journalism by Layla and the entire team has been great. What we have done from the early years to now has been really eye-opening, and the increasing of bringing more programs, more rich programs, more discussions, raising the conversation about many important issues that our community faces, and bringing it to the table. Also, the different things that we're doing with the journalists in the Middle East and the journalists here. We need to make sure that we have people who can speak on our behalf, who can write on our behalf, who are there as, I would say, public defenders of many issues that we face in America. And I believe the celebration today is something that is something that we give to ourselves and we celebrate. It's very important that we celebrate the accomplishments. And we also look at the things that we really need to work on. We still have to branch out to other states. We have branched out to D.C., and we broadcast now online very well. But we still really need to capture online media and online discussions and bring more conversation to the people and inform people about our values, about what is the real message of the Arab Americans, who are the Arab Americans, and what are their traditions, and how do they live, and that we're just like...
For some reason, we lost Adel, and I want to thank him for being with us. And
Arab American, and it should be really clarified.
Thank you, Adel, so much for being with us, and good luck to you on November 8th, and look forward to seeing you today at the celebration as well.
Same here. Thank you, Khalil. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being with us. And as we await Dr. Suwan, just wanted to take a few minutes also to encourage you to vote on November 8th. This is something very important as we start talking. Also, Adel mentioned something in regard to making one a good school district is something very important for our children, for our checkbook, because if you own property in the city, in the area, and then the school district is doing really well, more and more people would want to buy and sell homes, and that increase the value of your home. So that would guarantee and guard your investment. The prices of homes continue to climb, and October is a wonderful month to buy and sell homes. If you are looking for homes, if you want to sell a home and you would like an expert opinion, please give me a call. I'll be more than happy to talk to you on the sale of your home, what your home is worth, and the best way to sell it, and find you a buyer at a higher, and with a good return to you. What we provide is an expert opinion and an expert professional work, which is costing you almost none. Because if you sell your home on your own, the difference is, and you're selling it through us, is we yield more money and then save you the hassle and save you all the work and save you all the legal work, which is most likely most people don't really understand. So give us a call. The number is 313-819-0101, or you can go to Homes by Khalil, homesbykhalil.com, or you can go to yamichigan.com, and you can find quite a bit of information there. Let us know, and we'll be more than happy to help you. Again, we are awaiting Dr. Suwan to be with us, so we'll be talking about her trip to the Hajj. The other thing is that, in our community, there's been some discussions about the election, and some unfortunate discussions. We hope that everyone keeps it clean. I'm referring specifically to the judges' race in Dearborn. I hope that everyone will keep it clean and don't get into divisions and don't get into, bitter issues. We don't want to divide the community. Everybody has a right to, whether we agree with them or not, everybody has a right to run for office. So let's respect that right and, keep this community together. It's something very, very important. I started talking early in the program about poverty and what we can do. I just want to remind you also that there are a lot of people in our community who could use help. There are a lot of people who could, they are in need of help. And I like you to remember one thing is those who truly, truly need help most of the time don't ask for it. Those who ask all the time most likely do not need the help. So keep that in mind, and keep in mind that there are a lot of people who could use your help. And I'm not just talking about financial help. There are a variety of different ways we can help. And this is really what makes a distinguished community from another community, is when it takes care of its own, and we need to do that. And this is something that I learned, when I went to the Hajj myself, and you see all of these different people together, and you see how everybody is all together and from all over the world, and it's a really wonderful, wonderful scene. And we will be talking more about that with Dr. Suwan. How about if we go take a little break, and then we'll be back with Dr. Suwan.
قشات ميديترينيان ماركت بإدارة سهر قشات وأولاده يرحبون بالجالية العربية والكلدانية. جميع أنواع المواد الغذائية، البان طازجة، الكريزات والبهارات الطازجة. داخل الأسواق مطعم ميديترينيان شيش كباب يقدم يوميا جميع أنواع الكباب، المقبلات العربية العراقية وصواني الكامبو المميزة. تفتح الأسواق من 8 إلى 9 مساء من الاثنين وحتى السبت، ومن 8 صباحا إلى 9 مساء يوم الأحد. تقع الأسواق على 32839 نورث ويسترن هايوي في مدينة فارمينغتون هيلز. لحوم حلال للجالية الإسلامية. لطلباتكم من المطعم كول 248-538-7855. That is 248-538-7855. قشة ميديترينيان ماركت، خدمة متميزة ومعاملة راقية.
Welcome to the United States. Please proceed to the passport control.
ماذا يقول؟ إلى أين أذهب؟ ماذا علي أن أفعل؟ لو سمحت، هل تساعدني؟ ماذا قال هذا الرجل في الإعلان؟
ألا تعرف الإنجليزية؟
أعرف، ولكن أساسيات فقط.
عليك بتعلم اللغة.
ولكن أين؟ يوتيكا كوميونيتي سكول ESL بروجرام، أساتذة متخصصون، منهج متميز، يمكنك التسجيل طوال العام. لرسوم التسجيل ومواعيد الفصول الدراسية عليك الاتصال بالهاتف رقم
586-797-6960 586 797-6960.
تحدث اللغة وتعلم نمط الحياة مع يوتيكا كوميونيتي سكول ESL بروجرام. تعلم، تحدث وأكثر.
أسواق زمزم الواقع على 24065 أورشاد ليك في مدينة فارمington هيلز ترحب بالجالية العربية والكلدانية. تنزيلات كبيرة على عموم المواد الغذائية في يوم الأربعاء من كل أسبوع. لا تنسوا فريش كاري اوت، جميع انواع المعجنات، وايضا صواني الكمبو المشكله والصمون الحار. لحوم حلال الجاليه العربيه والاسلاميه الملحمه باداره قصاب الجاليه المعروف سلوان جربوع. زوروهم على 24065 اورشاد ليك في مدينه فارمington هيلز او اتصلوا بهم على 248-476-0300. اسواق زمزم للمذاقي عنوان لجميع طلباتكم. اتصلوا على 248-476-0300. اسواق زمزم للمعامله الراقية وكرم الضيافة عنوان وينتري مانر. صالات جميلة لمناسباتكم السعيدة ترحب بالجالية العربية والكلدانية. أجمل القاعات لمناسباتكم السعيدة من حفلات ومؤتمرات. تتسع القاعات لأكثر من 1000 شخص. خدمة راقية، أسعار مناسبة. تذوقوا ألذ الأطعمة الشرقية والغربية وبأسعار خاصة ومناسبة لجميع المناسبات. تقع القاعة على 35100 فان بون رود في مدينة كوين. للحجز اتصلوا بهم على 734-728-3020 734-728-3020. وينتري مانر للضيافة عنوان.
Welcome back and thank you for being with us. The number is 248-557-3300 and we're joined with Dr. Suwan. Dr. Suwan, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you, Khalil.
Yes. How was your trip?
It was the most marvelous trip in my life. I would say that, you know, it is really the trip. It is just the time of my life. I would say I would urge everybody to do it if they can.
Yeah. What really? Why did you decide to go?
You know, I would say that Hajj really is a very spiritual journey, and it's you know, it's like a very great deal in my opinion. The lessons from this marvelous journey are so numerous and so enlightening. And as I told you, I would urge people to do it at a younger age. In the past, you know, like part of our culture that you do Hajj when you are like above 60 or 70. And in my opinion, this is not right. We should really do Hajj whenever we can and as young as we can. The lessons learned from Hajj are unbelievable. It is, you know, one of the 5 pillars of Islam. There is lots of physical, I would say, activities in Hajj. I do not believe that people should wait until they are like 70 or 80 because it will be very difficult for them to do the manasik. You know, I mean, you know, with Hajj you go from one place to another and, you know, sometimes there is no time of rest between, you know, manasik. And I do not believe that, you know, people when they are old, they will be able to do it physically. And, you know, like some people, they were like on wheelchairs. And of course, you know, this is acceptable and possible. But, you know, why not to do it when we are able?
Exactly. You know, specifically that, you know, the Saudis haven't really done a good job of organizing and making it a stress-free trip. This is really very unfortunate because they could do a lot more. I don't think they're capable of running that show, you know, because when I was there in 2006, everywhere you turned, very disorganized. You know, they're far more interested in security than really in making sure that we you know, providing safety to the Hajj, you know.
Yeah, it's getting better, but I would say that, you know, like just like going from Arafat to Muzdalifah, it took us exactly 6 hours waiting for the train. And, you know, we were waiting for a long time. There were like so many people. And, you know, I would say that, you know, it's beyond the will of everybody. I mean, you know, remember there are so many people, you know, mashallah, coming from so many, places from the world, and sometimes it's beyond the will of anybody of what may happen. But I would say, I would say that, that's why we should make sure that we are doing this when we are able. And, when we are able to do manasik and to wait, Hajj will teach us, how to be patient. I would say for the specially chosen, guests of God each year, Hajj is a reminder that life may be, a great struggle in different ways, but it's always, made easy if we remember that, it is temporary and it's not forever. And, we can actually use our patience and, the help of prayer, to overcome all of these difficulties.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The other thing that, I would say that we learn from Hajj, Khalil, that we can live with the bare minimum, really. I mean, of course, we are in a situation like in the States and in so many areas of the world, especially, like some rich countries that, we are like living very luxurious life and, facilities are available everywhere. And, I mean, in Hajj, you would remember that we are coming, from the ground, we're going back to it. And, Hajj is a proof of the fact that it is possible to live with the bare minimum. I mean, simple living, high thinking, learning to live this way will lead to, like decluttered life, and, it will be less, materialistic. And, like our life could be simpler. The other thing that, when you see all of these people, Khalil, you can't imagine. I mean, people are coming from everywhere, they are coming from Africa, Australia, I mean, Middle East, and, we were, of course, like coming from, United States and Canada, and, of course, Europe, lots of people coming from Turkey. It's just like amazing where you see all of these people coming from all over the world, and they are having all one, focus, and, they are like focused on one thing. We are all going because, we want the acceptance of Allah. And, like you do remember, the ayah that, that it means that all mankind, we created you from, like...
Man and woman.
Yes, male and female, and made you into nations and tribes that you may know each other, and the most honored will be in the sight of Allah, the one who is like doing the good. Inna akramakum indallahi atqakum. So basically you will see like, people who are poor, people who are rich, and people who are like from different, countries and from different, like levels of living, and they are all wearing the same thing.
Yeah.
We were all
the
wearing the same
equality that I
thing.
noticed there is really unbelievable.
So what did you say?
Equal treatment that people receive, that I noticed, that I experienced in 2006. As you said, no matter who you are, you're going to do the same thing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
And, like, and even like think of the two pieces that men are wearing, for ihram. I learned that this is basically, like it's a symbol of the kafan. And the kafan is, the thing that, people will be in, when they are dying. And, as if they are like, meeting Allah with this, type of clothes. It's just like two pieces. And there is no sewing in them. And, of course, this is for the men. And, I learned also that in some cultures, they keep the clothes that they have been using during Hajj. And it will be actually the clothes that they will be meeting Allah, after death. It's just like the most amazing thing that we do remember that, actually, we are like all the same. We came from the same origin, and we are going, like to the same fate. And, we will be meeting Allah, all at one point. So we have to work for this specific day. So I would say that, really, I would urge all the brothers and sisters, to do this, as early as possible, because the lessons that, you learn from Hajj is amazing. And I would say that it's important to learn about Hajj before you go. Because, Khalil, we all know how to fast. We all know how to pray. We all know how to say Shahada and how to do Zakah. And these are like, four of the five pillars of Islam. But, when it comes to Hajj, it is really different because it is done only, like once in a lifetime. So it's not something that you're doing every day and you know how to do. So it is important to know the manasik of the Hajj and what is it about, and what is the benefit of each of these manasik and why we are doing it. And I would say that, of course, we do the manasik of the Hajj, of course, in Mecca. And, when it comes to the trip of the Hajj, part of it was in Medina. And we went to Medina before we went to Mecca. And I would tell you that, visiting Medina is really very important. It's so important because, you will see like all the places where our Prophet, may Allah bless him, like where he was, and, like you will learn about all the, like the ghazawat that he had, like during the da'wah. It's just like amazing, that when you go to Medina, basically you are living the history that we used to learn when we were young. And,
what the sad part is that the Saudis have destroyed most of the historic sites, like, some of the old buildings and all of that. They've destroyed most of them. And, there have been talks about destroying even the Prophet's, burying place.
Oh my God, this is not a good idea.
I know.
It's just so spiritual.
The Wahhabi mentality, basically, I was just reading about that, and some of the Saudis are saying that it is kufr to really go visit the graves and whatever it is. And if they could, that would, do. And it's so unfortunate because when I went there, all the places that they're placed in with modern buildings is like, the first mosque in Islam, you should guard it with whatever you can instead of destroying it, put a new building on it. And it was very unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I just want to focus on a very important fact. When it comes to the grave of the Prophet, may Allah bless him, it's not actually inside the masjid. It's not.
Yes.
It's basically outside the masjid. And it is very important also to know that when we visited the grave of the Prophet, and of course, like Sahaba, they are like buried beside him, you really do not go to the grave and start, making dua, to the grave. I mean, when you make dua, you actually direct yourself to the Kaaba. You do not. This is important. I mean, when we pray, we direct ourselves to Kaaba. When we make dua, we direct ourselves to Kaaba. But, when you visit the grave of the Prophet, you just say, like, Salam, Allahumma salli wa sallim ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. You do not actually start making dua to the grave. This is extremely important.
Exactly. What I like to do is, because we're out of time, is I'd like to come back to this next time. We can start a little early and then talk about it more, because there's a lot of lessons to learn. And, it's 8:58 and we're almost out of time. And,
we can do it the next time. As a matter of fact, there are so many things that we can talk about.
Yeah, let's do it earlier. Thank you so much and welcome back. And Hajj Mabruk, and then we'll talk next time. Thank you,
Dr.
so
much,
Suwan.
Khalil. Thank you.
Bye now. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye now.